Good morning. Welcome in. I'm just getting started here. How's everyone? Hey, Megan. Welcome in. So please read the show notes. And if you have questions, put them in chat with a question mark so they show up in bold. And tell me what you need help with. This is my walk and talk. So I come on every Tuesday and Thursday morning and chat with other sellers and point you to where to get help. And we talk about different topics that are, the interesting things of the day. So Megan has sad news. Oh, it's about your mom. I'm sorry. Sorry to hear that you have sad news. Oh, did she frequent our shows? Tell me who your mom is. Tell me what her username was. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Please read the show notes. And if you have questions, put them in chat with a question mark. And we will try and help you with anything you need help with. Sandra Bant. Sandra. Yeah, I know the name. So what's going on? Welcome in, everybody. All right, let me get fan going here. I'm so sorry. That is hard. That is hard. So everyone, good thoughts and good vibes and prayers out for Megan and her mom, Sandra. We have a lot of people on this platform who've been affected by that. It's a hard thing for sure. My mother-in-law was affected by that and passed away from that. All right. So yeah, good vibes out and prayers out for Sandra and Megan. All right. Tell us what you need help with. Tell me what you sell in chat and how it's going in your category. So we've been talking, I mentioned last week that this is the slow time. And this week in particular, a lot of schools are getting out of school this week or next. And there's graduations from college, from high school, from, junior high, even kindergarten does graduations now. So lots of stuff like that going on. So it's a slower week, a slower time. And it doesn't really pick back up until end of August, 1st of September. So expect that it's going to be slower. So don't just automatically, you may have to do longer shows. Yeah, please do let her know that we're all thinking of her. 'Cause that's hard. When you go live, just expect that it's going to be a little bit slower. And I'm not saying that it will always have to be necessarily, but it just is a slower time of year. So, hey, Lynn's Vintage, welcome in. How are you today? Oh, well, that's sweet. Yeah, thank you for letting me know. So just, kind of expect that and plan around that, meaning maybe you have to do more frequent shows, maybe you have to do longer shows. Maybe you have to switch up the times that you do shows, because that's another thing. A lot of times people's schedules change during the summer if they, are taking vacations, or they change work hours to deal with childcare, or, you know, they are a teacher or some kind of profession that has summers off. Lots of different things that does affect online sales and attendance at shows. So just really plan around that and use this time to get organized, to strategize for different things that you can do, and gear your shows towards, if there's any way to gear your show towards something specific, that does help. Have a theme, have a topic, have some way that you curate your show. Maybe it's a summertime show where you're featuring summery things, or you can use the word hot for sun. You can do, and then just have items that are more specific. So, yeah. All right. So, tell me in chat what everyone has going on, um, that you need help with. There's some updates to the app. Um, they updated the way that your giveaways look. So, when you do multiple units for a giveaway, instead of it listing, like if you put in four, when you create a giveaway, if you put there you're going to do four of them, instead of listing four, it puts them in one and it has 4 units. I love it because it's easy to just see the 2 or 3 different giveaway types you have. Can you do local pickup for people close and mail for others? Is there a special way to set it up? Yes. So you do need to go into your shipping settings and turn it on, first of all. And then it will show for the people that are close enough to you in your geographic area. It will show on the screen when they're in your show that that's an option. And then they go into their account and choose local pickup. And then everybody else, that's not in your local area or chooses not to have pickup, you'll still ship their orders. So you do have to turn it on. So in your shipping settings, so in Seller Hub and shipping settings. So I just went to Seller Hub, the hamburger menu, and then shipping settings. This setting right here that's free pickup, you have to turn that on. So if it says off, then nobody's going to be able to select that. So you just have to turn it on, and then they can go in and select local pickup if it gives them the message that it's available in their area. It's geographic, so I don't know what their exact criteria is, but right now I have 3 customers that are doing local pickup when they order, and they live, one of them lives about 15 minutes away, one lives about 30 minutes away, one lives about 15 minutes away, so they're all pretty local to me. But I have had customers about an hour away say that it's available, but they choose not to use it because with gas prices the way they are. Oh, thank you for letting us know, Megan. Take care. Our prayers are with you and your mom. So yeah, they may choose still not to, even if they could, because, gas prices are such that it might be cheaper to just have it shipped. All right. Is there a scan on their end or something that lets Whatnot know with local pickup? Yes. So when you have a customer that comes and picks up their package, they go into their account on their app and they go into their order and they either have you scan a QR code or they give you a code that you plug into that order. You go into fulfillment and then put that code in their order and then it shows that it's been picked up. Yeah. So it's, you can look it up on the frequently asked questions and it'll kind of walk you through the exact process, but it's not difficult. So you just go into your shipping, open unfulfilled orders, and it'll show you the ones that are still outstanding to be picked up. They are supposed to pick it up within 7 days of the show. If they don't, it just drops off your list, and then just make sure you don't have someone select a local pickup that isn't actually going to come pick it up and then is begging you to ship it. So, because they didn't pay shipping, so then it becomes a customer service problem. So be careful when you turn local pickup on that you only don't like advertise it. If someone reaches out and wants to do local pickup and you can trust that they're going to come pick it up, I'm just saying be a little bit careful because you don't want to get in a situation where they won't ever come pick it up because that's awkward. So then you're like, because in other words, they just tried to get free shipping and then are expecting you to, bring it to them or ship it to them. So be careful about that. And some sellers just flat out don't want to deal with it, and that's fine. If you don't want to deal with local pickup, just don't turn it on and it won't be available for anyone, period. So it's up to you. Welcome in. Please read the show notes. If you have questions, put them in chat. And I'm happy to try and guide you. The show notes have a lot of information in them, a lot of links to different things, places that you can go and get help, the official places on Whatnot that you can go to get help. The Whatnot seller account has a show on the 27th. If you're still struggling with shipping, make sure you have that show bookmarked with Julie Becker about shipping. And then there's a link in my show notes as well. So that's the Whatnot seller account. Please follow that account. It is the official community support team account where they do shows to help other sellers. And then in the show notes, there's a link that is the second thing in the show notes under the big main top paragraph. That's a link where you can go and bookmark a bunch of different shows with all the community support team sellers that are talking about shipping this month. So if that's one of your struggles, go to as many of those as you can so that you can learn how to do shipping. I did one last week, and the replay of that is in the YouTube account, in my YouTube account, which is in the show notes. It's this thing with a little talking head. My YouTube account is Draz on Whatnot. And I walked you all the way through shipping last week, so you can go rewatch it. You loved it? Okay, good. I hope it was helpful. I always feel like it's hard to, start from start to finish and still answer questions and still get through the whole thing. So hopefully we managed to mostly do that. So yeah, but if you want to rewatch that one, yeah, it's on my YouTube account under the lives. Just go to Draz on Whatnot on YouTube, and under the live shows, It will be in there as one of the latest one. It's called Don't Sink Your Shipping. It has a little ship emoji in the title. Welcome in. Please read the show notes. And if you have questions, ask them in chat with a question mark so they show up bold. All right. Let's talk about some other things for a minute. Let's talk about this. Let me find it. There we go. Let's talk about this because this during the slower times, it is going to be harder to get people in your shows and get them to stay in your shows. So I think this document really kind of hits home. It's a brainstorming list of things that you need to just read through and think about what can I do to improve my shows so that people want to come and want to stay and want to come back. So it's the 5 F's of attracting buyers. And I did that on purpose, the 5 F's, just because people would remember it, but it's no reference to the naughty word. But I figured people would remember it if I used that. So the first one is that you need to have fun. Genuinely, you need to enjoy what you're doing. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, that comes through and people don't want to stay in your shows. So, honest truth. So, if you don't enjoy this process, if you don't enjoy going live, if you don't enjoy selling and chatting and, the community aspect of whatnot, this may not be for you, and that's okay. You know, better to find that out sooner and, maybe you do a different style of sales than, to drudge through it for a long time and go, man, I hate this. So, you need to have fun. And maybe sometimes it's just what you're selling. If you're not passionate about and enjoy what you sell, that's going to make it tough as well. So, do some deep thinking about that because the people who really are successful on this platform are passionate about, enjoy the products they sell, and they have a lot of fun in their shows and make it enjoyable for their audience. So that's the number one thing. And then two, you have to have a fast enough pace show. Keep it going so that you keep people's attention and they'll stick around. What does that mean? Well, it's different in every show. It depends on the category you sell in. It depends on what type of audience you have. But a good enough clip that you're keeping their attention, because people have an attention span of about 10 seconds or less. And if you can't keep their attention in that 10 seconds, they're out of there. So you've got to keep a good enough clip of conversation, of running things, of showing things that people want to stick around. And then the third thing is findings. The stuff that you sell and show has to be stuff that people want to see and want to buy. If you have things that are just not trending, that nobody wants, you're going to have a really tough time getting people to come to your shows and stick around. So make sure the stuff you're selling is what people want to buy. And also how you sell it. Because sometimes you can take ordinary things and make them extraordinary by how you present them. Because maybe people didn't know that this is trending, that this is something that's really cool. And the way that you show how it's worn, how it's used, what you can make out of it, how you can do something with it changes everything. So you have to really be able to sell what you have. So, for example, in vintage and in home decor, there's a lot of things that people would normally look at and consider junk. Old rusty hinges, old, just old crusty things, right? But you have a lot of sellers and a trend of, kind of that primitive, homey, old look that they dress things up, and suddenly old rusty hinges are in demand. You know what I'm saying? So they took something that most people would look at and think it's absolute junk, but the way that they put it together with other things into their little decor makes it an in demand item that people will actually bid up and pay a lot for. And there's trends that come and go in those kind of categories. What was trending last month may not be still trending because it kind of went, ran its course. Same with all kinds of categories. You've got to figure out, what's trending, keep on top of it, show the things and show how it's used, how it's worn, where it gets displayed, how you display it. I don't know. Figure it out. And then fulfillment. Once you've got the fun, the fast pace, and good stuff figured out, then you need to be able to fulfill your orders and provide good customer service, or it's all going to come crashing down. So be prepared to ship your shows quickly and respond to customers, and make sure you're shipping in a nice way so that when people open their package, they are overwhelmed at how awesome it is instead of underwhelmed and don't want to come back. And then the last thing on the list is frequency. You need to show up often enough that people continue to find you, see you. You need to stay relevant. And again, that doesn't necessarily have to be every day. It depends on your category, on how you do your shows, but frequency does make a big difference as far as how quickly you can grow and, find your niche. So that is the 5 F's. My packages are always fun. Well, good. Bert does most of the packing. I'll be sure and give him that feedback. We do try to do a nice package. At the very least, make sure that you're packing in a way that the stuff is safe, clean, and because the post office is going to beat the heck out of the boxes or packages. You already know that. That's a given. So make sure that what's inside doesn't look like the outside because of how you packed it. All right. So another thing that I often share that kind of goes along with this, if you're struggling to figure out how to, do some of these things and you need ideas, this is a good time of year to do this. Go to 10 shows that you've never been in ever, maybe in a whole different category that you don't even ever shop in, and write down on a piece of paper their username if you want to remember, and then have 2 columns. The one column is why did I want to stay? The other column is why did I want to leave? And you're going to get some amazing insights. Do that with about 10 different sellers. So put your buyer hat on, go to these different shows, and just simply write down why did I want to stay? Why did I want to leave? And after you've done that, you're going to get some really good insights as to what you maybe need to do, because you are you, and the people that want to come to your shows are similar to you. That's what attracts them to your shows. And so, through the lens of, I have my buyer hat on, what do I like? What do I not like? What excites me? What turns me off? Your audience is going to have a similar taste, and you can get some good ideas of what you can do differently to make your shows more fun, more exciting. um, and you can get a really good idea of what not to do that might be turning people off. Okay. So, and you can't change your personality. You can't like drastically change your looks. Well, I mean, you can, but that's weird. Um, and if you don't go in front of the camera, it doesn't matter anyway, but you can change things like how you do your lighting, how long it takes for you to do things. You can change things like, you know, how you show your stuff, you know, because I'll give you a tip. It really bothers me when I go into a show and I can only see 5 square inches of what's being shown. Now, if it's coins or jewelry or buttons or something tiny, that's fine. Anything larger than that, it drives me bonkers because I'm like, I can only see 5 square inches of this item, and they're having to kind of move it around to try and show me the whole thing back up so that I get a bigger picture of what you're showing. So, you know, you need to give people a good enough view of the items so that they feel comfortable that they know what it is and what you're selling. So back up a little bit if you're too close and can't show the whole item. Um, let's see, because yeah, that drives me nuts. Okay, and then just start writing down the things that drive you nuts or that you don't like. And then write down all the stuff that you're like, wow, that's so much fun. Wow, I wanted to stay all day. Wow, they're so cool. Wow, write all that down and brainstorm things you can do, you know, and you're not going to want to exactly mimic someone because that's not authentic, but you can get ideas of things you can do your way that will work for you. I promise it will be a good exercise. So try it out. You know, go into shows you've never been in. And then after you've gone through and gone to at least 10 that you've never ever been to and done that, then I want you to, with your buyer hat still on, go to the shows you love to be in and write those same things down, because you're going to start, you know, because you need to actually, you know, think through, why is it that I love to be in this show? What are they doing that makes me want to be here and stay here? And you're going to get some really good insights and some ideas of how you can change up your shows to be better. It does take a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of brain power. It takes a lot of effort to, you know, do things, make things better, improve your process. This is definitely not a get rich quick scheme. You have to put in the time, put in the effort, and constantly be, you know, flexible to change things up, make things better, move things around, all of that, so that you can improve your shows. From the time that we started on selling on Whatnot, we've had our shows in 4 different places, and sometimes I still have shows in different rooms. Um, and we've gotten to a point in growth where we need to switch things up again. So we're trying to brainstorm that. You've got to be flexible and do what you need to do to grow, to expand, to improve your show production, your show process, and everything like that. So flexibility, being able to even, you know, flex a show mid show if it's not going well. pivot, do something different. You've got to be able to do that. So pivoting is key. Changing is key. Figuring out a different way to do things is key. Welcome in. Please read the show notes. If you have questions, put them in chat with a question mark. And we're just chatting about whatever you guys need to talk about. It's kind of quiet, so I'm just yakking, sharing some of my insights about things. And I'm happy to try and guide you. If you need help with something specific, let me know. The show notes are loaded with information. Make sure you read through what's in there. Take a screenshot if you need to. The auction tab. So if you click on the shop and go into the auction tab, all the documents in there are just things for you guys. Tip sheets, help sheets, lists of different things. So you can go in there and screenshot anything you want out of there. And tell me what you need help with. So I did get the synopsis back from the classes that we attended at the Whatnot Seller Summit that was at the end of April. It was a blast. It was a full day. We went to Austin, Texas, and Whatnot put on an amazing seller summit. They fed us, they taught us, they informed us, they gave us some swag. It was a lot of fun. So I definitely recommend, next year what they are tentatively planning is to do 3 seller summits, one East Coast, one West Coast, and then one somewhere else, more central, so that more sellers can attend. That's kind of their goal. And so that's exciting. And then you would be able to go to the one that's a little bit closer in to you. And they had, I don't know what their exact attendance was. They had a set number of tickets, and once they were sold out, you couldn't get them. Because the venue has limits of how many people you can actually host. But it was really well attended. And it was really fun to meet other sellers that I've known through the app but never met in person. That was really cool. And it's a lot of fun to talk to other sellers who understand what you do, understand, what you're trying to do. Because when you talk to people, your family, your friends, about Whatnot, they just kind of look at you like, okay, that's weird. If they don't understand what you're doing. And you go live, you do what? So it's really fun to be in the same room with a bunch of people who know exactly what you're doing and understand the process and are excited about it. And it just makes it's a really good fun time to do that. So and then if you go in the show notes, the very last starred bullet in there is the meetup hub. So you can go to meetups.whatnot.com, and if there is they list any Whatnot hosted local meetups, and also any local meetups that are being sponsored by the seller. And if there's one in your area that you can go to, you can, request info. And then also you can apply to sponsor a local meetup if you want to. They will not necessarily host it, meaning provide any money or anything for it, but they will advertise it if you went through them to do a local meetup. So you can do that on there. So that's the last star bullet in the show notes. And honestly, summer is a really good time to participate in something like that because it is a slower time. It would be really fun to get together with other sellers and, get to know some other sellers, You can get feedback, you can get ideas. You can even, if you get together in a more local level, collaborate about, sourcing or other supplies or other things. So it can be a really good time. So make sure you check that out and see if that's a possibility to be able to meet up with other sellers. We hosted one in Utah last February, so February 2025. We had about 25 sellers come. Utah has blown up. We'd probably have over 100 if we hosted another one soon. So I don't know. I might look into doing another one soon. But it was a lot of fun to get together with those other sellers. We had a good time. Welcome in. Please read the show notes. If you have questions, put them in chat with a question mark so they show up bold. I'm Dana. I'm here walking on my treadmill while I chat with you. So if you have questions, put them in chat and I can try and help you. And thanks for joining. Any questions? It's kind of quiet today. What's on everyone's minds? What are you struggling with? Keep in mind that all of the community support sellers are doing shows this month about shipping. So if you need help with shipping, there's many shows going on this month with that topic. Sorry, my voice is froggy. The link that is in the show notes right here that says community host shows is a link that will take you to a list of all the shows that are happening for the rest of the month on that topic. So you can screenshot that and go to that link and it will take you to those. Lynn is struggling with other things getting in the way of doing shows. Boy, isn't that the truth, right? How dare your family and friends have anything that they need from you? It's called life. Yeah. No matter how well you plan and schedule, things get in the way. That's for sure. Yep. So, to that end, I would say what helps is to have a consistent schedule, but then be flexible to, need to move your shows around a little bit as needed. But if you have a consistent schedule and a consistent plan of what you're going to do for each of those shows, it does help, even if you have to move it around a little bit because you already had a plan, you already had something in mind that you were going to do. So, you may already have it partly ready. And once you get into the swing of, a consistent schedule, it really does help with that because you just know, okay, well, this was what I had planned for Tuesday. I have to move it to Wednesday, but this is still what I'm doing. Still have a set kind of schedule of what you do regularly. So that helps if that helps. Another thing too is, it really does make a difference if your life is kind of harried to only do shows when you actually have the time to do them. So, if you're rushing and you're getting interrupted and you're distracted, your shows just aren't going to be as on key as they should be because people can tell, that you're distracted, that you're harried, that things aren't going well. Try to, so if it's just a day where you're like, this is just not going to go well, it probably won't. So reschedule for a block of time where you're going to be able to focus on doing your show so that it will go better. Because you do need to have, some time to prepare and not have constant interruptions. And then you need to be able to have time to ship your show after. So really try to kind of focus in on having a consistent schedule that has some flexibility, and then just be realistic about, if there's something major, it's okay to reschedule it. Don't cancel shows, just reschedule them. The bookmarks stay on there. People understand that people have lives. So, and if you have a lot of bookmarks or something people were really anticipating, you can go open the show and type right in chat. So sorry, had to reschedule. Um, hope to see you sooner, whatever. That way people know that life is life. But don't do this. Don't have shows on your schedule and just never show up, because people then the train of thought for you as a seller is you're not reliable, you're not trustworthy. And because they have shows sitting on their schedule and then they never show up, and the time passes and that show's just sitting there. It's a bad mark to have shows sitting there that you never show up for. So if you have a show sitting on your schedule and it ain't going to happen, go in and move it out. Reschedule it. Don't just let it pass by without going live, because that looks really bad. So yeah, because it becomes a trust issue, and if they're just going to let shows sit on their schedule and never go live, are they also going to let my package sit there and never ship? If your show is on Thursday, when do packages have to be mailed out? So it's based on business days. So if 2 days from Thursday is a Saturday and your local post office is not open, then technically it can go out on Monday. But my experience has been that first of all, I want 1 day shipping, not 2 day shipping. So if I have a show on Thursday, I'm going to ship it same day or next day. If you can't manage to do that, try and get it shipped Friday, Saturday. But technically it is business days. So the 2 day window would be Saturday on a Thursday show. And if you don't have if you can't ship it on Saturday because your post office is closed, then it can go out on Monday and still be within that 2 day window. Welcome in, but make sure you have it shipped, meaning you've packed it all up, have the labels on there, and then you're going to be able to scan the labels Monday when you take it to the post office. And your scan, when you do that scan, with the in-app scanner, which you should be using, do it right before you take them. So if you shipped it on Thursday night or Friday and have it ready, but you're not going to be able to drop it off at the post office yet, don't scan it until the day and right before you take it to the post office. That in-app scanner is super important for keeping your shipping time accurate and looking good, which you want to have good shipping time on your account. Because again, that's a trust thing. People can see that you are quick to ship their items out, and that's important to you as a seller to keep them happy with shipping times. Welcome in. Thanks for joining. If you have questions, put them in chat with a question mark. And hope everyone's having a good day. Let's see. I had a problem with the clerk missing a scan. Yeah, I I do not have the clerk scan my packages. I do the in-app scanner before I drop them off. And my post office is pretty good. If you have a crappy post office, and they aren't getting your stuff scanned, maybe take the scan sheet in addition to scanning them yourself. They are not going to want to usually scan each individual package if it's a pre-printed label. So they will if you go wait in line. But you can take that scan sheet and have them scan just one. You like to have a receipt. Yeah. So, yeah, if you feel like if they're pretty crappy at because the way that the post office works is you take it to your local post office. And then if they scan it in, that's actually just a pre-scan. The actual tracking scan starts when it reaches the regional hub. And then they scan it there. And then the tracking starts and it goes from there. So the pre-scan at the local post office, unless your local post office is the main post office for your region, is just a pre-scan. So yeah. The 78-cent shipping for plain white envelope is only valid within a show. Correct, doesn't apply for marketplace. That is correct, Trish. So flat rate and envelope shipping don't apply if they buy something out of your marketplace. Yep. All right. So, yeah. So just stay on top of that and pay attention to your your shipping, your packages, kind of check tracking on some of them and just kind of see how it's going. And then you'll know whether or not you have to be a little bit more diligent. There's some parts of the country right now that their regional hub, post office, warehouse, whatever, is terrible with getting packages scanned, with getting them out shipped to the right places. It's just kind of a nightmare in some areas. Angel says, I've been receiving notifications of weight differences with the upcoming change. How do we challenge the weight USPS and whatnot are saying? Flat rate doesn't matter for weight. So if you use flat rate, if you'll notice when you use flat rate, the weight is not even populated once you choose a flat rate package. It just gives the dimensions. So it's allows up to 70 pounds. Those were flat rate boxes. Did it have a flat rate label? Because if it didn't have a flat rate label, if you didn't print the right label, then that would be a problem. So, so that's your concern. They were flat rate boxes, flat rate medium. And it's showing you that there was a weight difference. Yeah, it needs to say flat rate, not priority. Okay, so yeah, I would message customer service and ask, because if you truly used a flat rate box and your label matched, then the weight shouldn't matter. Up to 70 pounds. So I haven't had anything like that show up. So yeah, if that starts showing up, that would be an issue. So double check, make sure that, do you have the pictures? So if you go into those orders, that's another thing. If you're using that in-app scanner, it takes a picture and it puts it on your customer's order. And you're going to be able to look and see what did that label say. That's proof of what the label was and what the box was. So back up just a little bit so it has a full picture of the package with the label on it, and you can clearly see what the label said. So you have proof right there what box it was and what the label was. And it's going to be kind of hard for them to say that you owe money if you had the right label and the right box, because it should only be an issue if you, for example, put something in a, let's say you used a flat rate box, but your label said Ground Advantage. Well, that's incorrect, and you should get charged for the difference in the rate because you used the wrong box with the wrong label. If you had something that weighed 13 ounces, but your label only says 4 ounces, and it's a Ground Advantage package, that's a problem because you sent it out under weight. And those are the things that they're going to track. All right, so I got all priority boxes that a seller told me to get and not flat rate priority, and now I'm ordering them. Yeah, you got to know the difference between the two. So rewatch my show from last week. If the box just says priority mailing box and does not say flat rate on it, you cannot use that for a flat rate label. It's got to be the ones that say flat rate. So know the difference. And a priority package can actually be sent in your own, your own box, your own mailer, a brown box, whatever you have. But flat rate cannot. Flat rate has to be in the box or package that's labeled flat rate. So make sure you understand that. Here is a little chart that Blaze and Bunny put together. It's a little visual that you can use. I just pinned it. Tap that, tap it again. So it's on the one column, you've got the different USPS services. So Ground Advantage, Priority Mail, Priority Flat Rate, Media, Hazmat, and First Class, plain white envelope. And then it tells you on the next column what kind of package that can go in or not. So if you need to refer to this, take a screenshot of that and have it right on your phone so that you can remember how to tell which package you can use for which service. Okay. All right. Because yeah, that's where you want to don't want to get mixed up. Yeah, your post office should not take a priority box with a Ground Advantage label. Yeah, because that's the wrong level of service because you're paying less, or depending on the weight, possibly more for a Ground Advantage label. It's a whole different class that's based on dimensions of the box and the weight of the box. Whereas flat rate, you just choose the box or package off the list, and weight doesn't matter up to 70 pounds. So when the post office gets your package at the regional center, they have these big scales. They put them on the scale and it does an automatic weight and dimension. And anytime the label doesn't match, they actually they keep track of that. And then periodically they go through and charge back to the shipping service. So in our case, Shippo is the third-party shipping service that Whatnot uses. So Shippo is going to get a big old honking list of all the times where the package label, what it said it weighed and what it was, what class it was, didn't match. And then that gets charged back to Shippo, who charges it back to Whatnot, who now is going to start charging them back to us in a few months. So make sure your shipping weight and the label that you use on the package are accurate, or you're going to start getting charged for it. Trish says, if I wanted to do a fill a box for a book show and use flat rate, how would I set that up? Well, first of all, you would have it set for buyer pays all shipping. So you wouldn't want to use the 921 max. And then you would use custom profiles. So if you wanted to use all large flat rate boxes, so you would have a listing called large flat rate box full of books. And then you use a custom shipping profile that is allows 1 unit per box because you're selling the whole box. And then tell them right in the listing and right in your show notes that this is a a box full and you're going to pay shipping per box, separate shipping per box. So if you buy more than one box, you're paying the shipping separate per box. And then that custom shipping profile is set up to just say 1 per box. And you probably want to have it set at 1 per box and 5 pounds. And you can even specify that it's a large flat rate box in that custom shipping profile. So if you've never set up custom shipping profiles, go find infrequently asked questions, type in custom shipping profiles, and it will take you through a little tutorial of how to set those up. I think there's even links that show you on a video where to go and set those up. And then instead of the range or the generic, when you set up that listing, the shipping becomes that custom profile that you set up. And make sure you name it something that you're going to remember. So it might be, like in Trisha's case, books, large flat rate box full. And then on that listing, that's the profile you choose as your shipping weight. And it's set up for her to do a box full of books that weighs 5 pounds in a large flat rate box. That's how you do it. And then in that show, you probably don't want to list other items for sale. Or you can, but you need to explain to people that if you buy other items out of the buy it now or in the show, they're going to ship separately from that other box full of books. Because because of how you have that set up. And you could have that, but they would bundle separately from the boxes full. So you have to think through how you have it set up to make sure it does it correctly. So when I've done box full shows before, I usually don't list other items just because people typically don't want to have to pay separate shipping just to buy a few other items if they're buying boxes full. So I typically have just the boxes. Oh, yeah, no worry. No worry. Understand. All right. If you have questions, put them in chat with a question mark so they show up in bold. And I'm happy to try and help answer them. And thanks for joining. Happy Tuesday. Week of May, where lots of people are graduating from kindergarten, middle school, junior high, high school, college. It's graduation week. It is where I live anyway. How about you guys? Anyone in your families graduating from something? And that's always an exciting time. I don't have anyone this year. My daughter graduated high school last year, and she just finished up her freshman year of college. And that's exciting. She's hanging out at home this summer. And then next month, she is headed on a mission to Korea for a year and a half. So that's cool. Your nephew's promotion to high school is today. That's what they call it, promotion. That's cute. Getting promoted to high school. And Vic Dolls by Vicki, we're going to Georgia for graduation. Oh, nice. Where do you live? What state do you live in? You're traveling to Georgia. It's kind of funny. When I was a kid, The only graduations were high school graduation and college graduation. They didn't do the preschool, kindergarten, middle school. None of that existed. So it's kind of funny now. It's all these different ones. I mean, it's cool, but there's just a lot more emphasis on celebrating the smaller steps in addition to the bigger steps. So you're going from Michigan to Georgia. That's a big trip. Are you driving or flying? So that's exciting. Let's see. The next one in my family will probably be my youngest daughter graduate when she comes back and finishes college. We'll see. I have another son that might possibly go back to school. And I have a son who's a nurse who's currently taking classes to get a higher degree in nursing. But that'll be a while. You're driving. Well, be safe. How long of a drive is that from Michigan to Georgia? Because that seems like you're going all the way from north to the southern part of the country. Depends, I guess, in what part of Michigan you live. But I always forget that the West Coast is much more spread out than the eastern part of the United States. I lived for a while in Connecticut, and you could drive to almost every state in the East Coast within a few hours or at minimum a day. Whereas if you live in the West Coast, things are much more spread out. So 12 to 14 hours. So yeah, that is a long trip. Lynn went to graduation last night for my great nephew from 8th grade. He's very excited for high school. Aw, that's awesome. So Ann Arbor, done the drive to Atlanta a few times, love the mountain driving. Yeah, be safe. We live in Utah, so whenever you go anywhere, there's lots of mountain driving. So definitely be safe. In Utah, we have, how many of you have ever been to Utah and been to like places like Zion's or Arches or some of the really cool national parks, or maybe over on the border to of Utah and Arizona to Grand Canyon? Lots of pretty things to see. Zion's and Wendover. Yep, Anne lives close by. So yeah, Wendover is like the ugly cousin, ugly stepsister of all the rest of Nevada. It's the closest place you can go from Salt Lake City into Nevada if you want to gamble. Yeah, the Grand Canyon is amazing. There's a hike that you can do, but it's very limited that you can do to hike down in the Grand Canyon and see the Havasupai Falls. And it's actually still a Native American tribe that lives down in the Grand Canyon, and they limit the number of people that can go in there. But it's absolutely stunning scenery if you ever get a chance to do that. I'd never arrive because I'd stop at every single thrift store. Is that not true? Yep. You used to get free room and airfare from Minnesota. Ooh, yeah, that would be good. That would be good. So where is everyone going this summer? Anyone have any fun trips planned? Last summer, I kind of blew my wad last summer. I went to China. So I don't have any big plans this summer. Because I kind of blew my wad for a couple of years on a big trip. Took my daughter to China. So that was good. I used to drive from Arizona to Fort Hood 19 hours in one day, and we started taking 2 days because of all the lovely stops. Yeah, that is a nice drive. Yeah, it was an amazing trip. So my youngest daughter was born in China. She's adopted, and we got her when she was 11 months old. And so I took her back to China for a homeland tour, and we went with a group of families who also had children adopted from China, and they took us, just all over the place. It was a 2.5 week long trip, and we went to Beijing, we went to um, Guilin, and to what's the other province now? My brain's fried. Anyway, we went to where the terracotta warriors are. That was amazing. We went to the province where we got to see the you go on a river cruise and you see those huge mountains that are covered with trees that stick up out of the ground. They're narrow mountains. If you've ever seen pictures of that, I did a river cruise on that river. Absolutely amazing scenery. It was an amazing trip, once in a lifetime, amazing trip. And yeah, she thoroughly enjoyed it. So it was very cool. Yep, it was very cool. So Anne is flying to Honolulu and taking a 7-day cruise to the other islands in December, taking your mom on a trip. Oh, that's awesome. I'm excited for you. Very cool. Very cool. Flying to Texas on Saturday for 3 weeks. No more drives. There you go. There you go. So I have to admit, so we went to Texas for the Whatnot Seller Summit. And I was reminded how much, I mean, I took that huge trip to China. That's a little bit different. Because we actually flew direct from Salt Lake City to Seoul, Korea, had a layover there for a few hours, and then flew from there to Beijing. That flight across the ocean is like 12 to 15 hours. It's a killer. But you just kind of veg for, so you miss a whole day. But it in the States flights, oh my gosh. I'm to the point almost that if it's less than a day's drive, I'm gonna drive. Because you can go, by the time you go to an airport, go through security, go through everything, sit there, wait for your flight, get on if it's on time, and fly to your destination. You could have driven to most places that are within a day's drive. So we kind of prefer to drive if it's not too far. Austin's a little bit far, so we flew, but it was a hassle. And then when we came back, our flight was delayed like 5 hours. So I didn't even get the notification that it had been delayed until we were already at the airport and heading into security. So we sat at the airport for 5 hours. Yay. Yes, please ask seller questions. I've just been kind of yakking because I didn't have a lot of questions. So please do ask seller questions. Put them in there with a question mark so they show up in bold. Happy to help. So a seller puts listing of extra label and requires buyer to purchase new label when medium flat rate is full. Wouldn't this be the same as buyer pays all? So there are sellers who are using custom shipping profiles where it allows up to a certain number of items per box. And then if you buy any more, it then unbundles you to a new order because that they have it set up that way. And so you're paying per box, so to speak. So it's not really buyer pays all. It's just that you're paying for a certain number of items per box. And then if you choose to buy more than that, you're agreeing to start, having another shipping charge. To start off, you need a ring light stand. Do you recommend a specific thermal printer, paper, or place other than Amazon to order? I actually don't like ring lights. There's other lights that are better. There's some that are like these narrow ones that are on a stand that you can put on the periphery that give a lot more light, or a diffused light. I don't like ring lights because of the ring. They put a ring of the way they glow. It puts a ring on everything you show. So I like lights a little bit different than that. Thermal printer and paper. I do Amazon, but I would say find a thermal printer that has really good reviews and a good number of reviews, and that says that it is can be returned if it's not working. And then get one that does not require proprietary labels, meaning it will take the generic labels. There are certain brands of thermal printers that you have to buy their brand of labels for it to work and feed properly. And you don't want that because their labels are much more expensive. So just get one that has good reviews and is returnable and takes the generic labels. And the brand, honestly, they change brand names all the time. They're manufactured overseas, and you just have to look for the ones that have the best reviews. It's a listing in the bin, and you have to buy the label. Okay, so wait, it's a listing in the bin, and you have to buy the label. Let me read your question from before. So seller puts a listing of an extra label, requires buyers to purchase a new label when a medium flat rate is full. Yeah, I don't understand why they're doing that, because they can just use custom profiles to do the same difference. Yeah, and I think that would be against terms of service because you're purchasing something that is not an actual item. Because a listing needs to be an actual item that you can be sent, not just a label. So yeah, I don't think that's a good practice. So you should be setting up shipping based on them getting an actual item. Yeah. I would add to look for good current reviews. Ask me how I know. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So whenever you're looking for, a label printer, labels, make sure the reviews are accurate, current, and that there's a lot of them. So you can tell a lot of people have purchased it. Read the reviews. Because sometimes the reviews reflect overall good, but if the current reviews are bad, then something's gone bad with that brand. Because you never know. I mean, they could have good quality control, and then all of a sudden, something happened at their factory and now it sucks. And the most current reviews are like, don't buy this printer, it breaks, or it's not working when you get it. So check current reviews. Agree. Agree. You're welcome. Yeah, that kind of sounds fishy to me. Anything like that, stay away from that because that's not how the process is supposed to work. Shipping is fulfilled through Whatnot. Purchasing an additional label, they're making you buy another listing that isn't an actual item. That's kind of fishy to me. Yep. And people try all kinds of things to get around, trying to, I don't know. And I always think, if you just do the process the way it's supposed to work, it works. Hey, like it, swipe it's in the house. How are you today? What's going on? How's everyone doing? Welcome in. Read show notes. If you have questions, ask them in chat and I will try to answer them. How's everyone's beginning of summer going? We were talking about everyone's graduating from preschool, kindergarten, middle school, junior high, high school, college. Anyone have anyone graduating from something? I'm doing good. Can't complain. Honestly, I can't complain. I can always find someone else whose life is more miserable than mine. So I have a hard time complaining about my own life, or I shouldn't. That's the thing. If you start complaining and griping about your own life, please look around and realize how good life is. Is it could be much worse, right? Even when you've hit rock bottom, you haven't when you look around. All right, welcome in. Hey, Threads Abound Us. How are you as well? Yes, think of the starving children and the poor politicians. Starving children, maybe. Poor politicians, haha. Yep. Yeah. Second half, definitely a joke. Yeah. Yeah, that's partly why I don't ever want to turn on the news. Yep. All it is politicians and their ridiculousness all around on all sides. It's like good grief. Good grief. So I was listening to maybe try and go look it up, and I can't remember his name, but I think it was North Carolina, one of the colleges in North Carolina this year, their keynote speaker was a recording artist, a country singer, and he gave an amazing speech at their graduation, and he used his guitar. Has anyone seen it? He like used his guitar and the analogy of the strings of the guitar to describe life, and then he sang at the end. I can't remember his name. I'm not a big country music person, so I don't remember his name. But go look it up. It was North Carolina. And there's probably two major colleges there, but it's kind of viral on YouTube and Facebook right now. But his speech was amazing, and it really was like a really good analogy of life, and he just really encouraged the students to he used that analogy of the different strings and what the purpose of each string of the guitar is when you're making music. It was an amazing speech. So yeah, look it up. So it was North Carolina. I'm trying to remember which one, because is there a North Carolina State and a North Carolina U, or I don't know. Anyway, look it up. It was an amazing speech and worth listening to. I enjoyed it. You just looked. Eric Church, is that who it is? Yeah, so go watch it. It'll give you a little lift today. It was a really good speech. So I was impressed. I was very impressed. And it was fun too, because it was light in addition to being very inspiring, because he had fun with it. And yeah. He did some amazing work after Hurricane Helene. Aw. So he's obviously an amazing person. So kind of made me, a little bit tempted to listen to some of his music. But again, I'm not a huge country listener because I'm very affected by music. It affects my mood, and country music leans a little bit towards melancholy, and you know what I mean. And so I don't, my go-to music is, um, I'm kind of all over the place. I love classical music, like love classical music, but it kind of, again, affects my mood. And so I would say my go-to is 80s, 70s, and 80s. Um, the music in the 70s and 80s was so much better than, in my opinion, than most music produced since then. But I also, my kids love music. My husband, well, you guys know Bert loves music. And so, yeah. What about Dolly? Well, Dolly is an amazing person. She absolutely is an amazing person. And I love to listen to her sometimes, but I'm just not a big country song person. They make me cry, they make me melancholy. Yeah. So, yeah. 60s and 70s. Yeah, there's some good stuff from the 60s too. I love country music, but I listen to a lot of instrumental worship and classical just to just feel uplifted and focused. Yeah. Classical music is amazing with being able to help your brain wire and focus. That's for sure. Yep. But yeah, if I want to feel upbeat and fun, we love the 80s. Pop, rock. I never got into anything like, more, what would you call it, like acid rock or the kind of more creepy crap from the 60s, 70s, 80s, well, 70s, 80s. I love a lot of 60s stuff too, because I love the Beatles, I love the Beach Boys, that kind of stuff. And then 70s, there's some that kind of got a little bit too weird because you know, the whole 70s hippie movement. Yeah, no death metal for me. So, but yeah, the 80s, I mean, this song, a lot of the artists just really had some fun stuff out there. And then, of course, we had all the ballads, the dance music that you can dance to. That's fun. So, yeah. All right. Now we're talking music. So, but I live with Bert. He loves music. We have music playing in our house almost constantly when he's around. So, you don't listen if you can't understand the lyrics. Yeah. I struggle with that too, because I'm like, if I can't tell what they're saying, it could be bad. And then I don't need that in my head. So, yeah. My daughter and my sons all love mostly what their dad loves, but my daughter loves the Swooners. So she listens to Steven Sanchez, and he's like a crooner. He sings all those old kind of love songs. She and her best friend are like in love with him and went to his concert. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Um, I love, yeah, Michael Bublé. Yeah. I love Linda Ronstadt, and she doesn't sing anymore, but I love listening to some of her old albums. Um, let's see, who else do I just really, really love? Well, she has an amazing voice. She was one of those singers that her range was just like incredible. And I love Barbara Streisand for the same reason. They had incredible voices. Yeah, silver threads and golden needles. Yep. So, all right. But I'm not as good at with music as Bert is, because like Bert can pick out, you can say a word and he'll find a song that goes with it. And he has lots of songs memorized, and I'm not as good at it as he is. Carole King, yes, good. Barbara is your queen. Yeah, she was an amazing singer. Still probably is. I don't know. How old is Barbara Streisand now? I was watching the other day. Okay, so talking about awkward, go watch on YouTube the duet she did with Barry Gibb. It's kind of creepy. She's 80 and can still sing. Yeah, there you go. So what's the name of that song they sing? I'm thinking of it. Because I don't know, it was like she was infatuated with him or something, and the way they were dancing was really awkward in the video. So if you need a good laugh, go watch Barbara and Barry Gibb do a duet. It's pretty funny. Pretty funny. But yeah, we like some of that stuff, that oldie stuff. All right, I better get going. I've got stuff I've got to get done today. I have to take my daughter to get her immunizations for travel because she's going to Korea, and they want her to get the typhoid shot. The shot sounds horrible. The disease is much worse, but I'm not really excited about her having to get shots. Ugh. Anyway, you're welcome. Thanks everyone for being here. I'll be back Thursday morning, same time, same show. If you have questions, things you need help with, come back again. And everyone have a wonderful day. And let's go find someone to raid into. How about So Snappy is on? She's one of my besties on the platform. Let's go raid her. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Here we go.